So today we're going to discuss about knowledge is human. After this session, you will know about the characteristics of knowledge workers and their evolving contractual relationships. You will be able to name and explain the 6 major factors determining knowledge worker productivity according to Drucker. Also, you will know the roles and tasks of the 5 groups of actors of the knowledge firm. Furthermore, you will know how to motivate knowledge workers, and you will also be able to evaluate and develop competencies of employees. As we have discussed in our previous topics, knowledge materializes in the minds of people. Therefore, knowledge-intensive companies are hunting for brains rather than traditional manpower. Here, knowledge work is an activity based on cognitive skills that has an intangible result and whose value added relies on information processing and creativity, and consequently on the creation and communication of knowledge. And when we say knowledge workers, they are the people who primarily engage in knowledge work. Along the same lines, Davenport describes a knowledge worker as someone whose principal activity consists of acquiring, generating, packaging, or applying knowledge. In other words, knowledge workers think for a living. What does this mean in terms of work? Until recently, most employees performed a pre-structured and clearly defined task for which they were paid. They were assured that they would be employed in the company as long as this task existed in the company, and as long as they met a certain standard while carrying out their tasks. To a certain extent, they were assured a workplace for a certain period of time. Knowledge workers are going to be the primary force determining which economies are successful and which are not, says Thomas Davenport, professor of information technology and management at Babson College in Wellesley, Mass. Peter Drucker suggests that knowledge worker productivity is the most important challenge for management in the 21st century. He describes 6 major factors determining knowledge worker productivity. First, knowledge worker productivity demands that we ask the question, what is the task? Second, it demands that we impose the responsibility for the productivity on the individual knowledge workers themselves. Knowledge workers have to manage themselves. They have to have autonomy. Third, continuing innovation has to be part of the work, the task, and the responsibility of knowledge workers. Fourth, knowledge work requires not just continuous learning, but also continuous teaching on the part of the knowledge worker. Fifth, productivity of the knowledge worker is not primarily a matter of the quantity of output. Quality is at least as important. Finally, our 6th factor, knowledge worker productivity requires that the knowledge worker is both seen and treated as an asset rather than a cost. It requires that knowledge workers want to work for the organization in preference to all other opportunities. He also adds that to be successful, the knowledge work must be focused as part of a system on the needs of the customer and business strategy. The new viewpoint of the company means a change in the social contract. Employees provide their intelligence, learning aptitude, and knowledge to the company. In return, the company is bound to use, develop, and safeguard these individual capabilities and skills with the purpose to convert them into organizational knowledge assets and create value out of it. Flexibility in allocation of resources is the need of the hour. Compensation patterns have also changed over the years. An individual is paid as per his or her contribution to the company's value creation. The company pays not only in monetary form but also offers the individual a chance to develop his capabilities and skills further and apply them in challenging tasks. The classical barriers between employees, customers, and suppliers fade out. Thus, customers can contribute in the development of new products and can be remunerated for their efforts, similar to the existing practice of remunerating the suppliers for their contribution. Employees develop and control their own competence portfolio that must then stand the test of time in an operation portfolio that gets reconfigured time and again. Effective knowledge work is not merely a term that indicates efficiency and focus on the right issues. It also comprises conditions and resources which help harnessing and developing the performance potential of knowledge workers. Effective knowledge in our extended view comprises such factors as quality, creativity, ability to innovate, efficiency, effectiveness, and from the individual's point of view, self-realization, satisfaction and fun at work, development of one's own competencies, and maintenance of good health. The dilemma of knowledge-intensive jobs is due to the organization's dependency on the commitment and knowledge of its employees. Having said that, these are perhaps unaware of their own potential, and the potential best result which could be achieved under ideal conditions is not known. The passion to go well beyond the extra mile is what drives people to create insanely great products and services, says Christopher Mayer. Kim and Moborn reason that it all depends on designing a fair process. This process should be based on consistent, transparent, and comprehensible decision-making processes by involving the employees. In order to do so, all of those involved in the decision-making processes should be equal as regards to access to information. If the decision-making process and the teamwork are perceived as fair by the employees, they will be willing to accept responsibility for the decisions and work actively towards their implementation, even if they do not wholly agree with what the decision entails. Buckingham and Kaufman studied the factors which are essential to recruit top-class knowledge workers, to retain them and engage them in productive work. The following 6 factors have a highly positive correlation with productivity, profitability, employee retention, and customer satisfaction. First is knowing exactly what is expected of you at work. Second, availability of resources to execute the job correctly. Third, opportunity to do what one can do best. Fourth, regular recognition and appreciation for the work done. Fifth, recognition of an employee as a human being. And sixth, having a mentor at work who supports your development. While these factors are also relevant in industrial work, they are, however, critical for enabling effective knowledge work, which in its core is often an activity involving little structure, a lot of novelty, and dependence on individual expertise. Moreover, well-being and team spirit in the workplace also affect the productivity of knowledge work. Another factor negatively affecting the productivity is the situation wherein knowledge workers increasingly have to start freelancing or are employed on short-term contracts and perceive a high risk of losing their job. In such situations, knowledge workers would spend much energy to safeguard oneself, to position oneself against colleagues, and to put one's own future above everything else. Therefore, one of the main tasks of top management is to provide an environment where work is rewarding and fun. The strategy of managing knowledge workers keeps the focus on people. With the provision of conditions that promote employees' initiative, creativity, and knowledge transfer, companies expect to make intensive use of this freedom to create value. Effectiveness of knowledge workers is based on results and credibility, perceived reputation, and network of relationships rather than formal authority, job description, or position in the hierarchy. Freedom to create value goes along in many cases with high workloads. According to Mayer, knowledge workers primarily identify themselves with their profession rather than workplace, more sensitive to the kudos and esteem they receive from their peers than those they receive from management. They are also highly mobile and quick to change jobs. They are driven primarily by the pride of accomplishment. They also have strong beliefs and personalities. They respond much better to being pulled than being pushed. They also have an informal network with peers. They have an informal network with peers inside and outside their own company, which helps them benchmark their personal efforts and their company's competitiveness. Quinn recommend how to make use of the potential of professionals. Employ only the best ones and let them ponder over new problems under high pressure to succeed. After initial training, these potentials are confronted immediately with the complexity of real problems. New employees are assigned to small teams that contain 3 to 7 people as found in Microsoft. The new employees participate immediately in the development of new complicated software systems under the guidance of their mentors. Training on the job, guidance by mentors, as well as pressure of competition among colleagues helps the experts to reach the highest possible level of knowledge in their field. Quinn and others are of the opinion that the specialized knowledge of these experts increases faster when they have to comply with tough demands. However, not all employees will be ready to face this pressure. For instance, some may decide to cooperate as an external developer in specific projects or to be available as a company consultant in consulting firms only for a certain number of days. Others undertake repairs and maintenance tasks assigned externally or participate in the production network as subcontractors. They earn less but may be able to organize their time freely. They may voluntarily or forcibly become life entrepreneurs. Psychological overload occurs especially when workers are confronted with discrepancies between work requirements, rules, and available resources that inhibit them from reaching their goals and that are linked to immediate negative consequences for them. Reflect a bit on whether you feel overwhelmed with the following 5 types of disparities. First, contradictory work goals. Additional requests and tasks have to be accomplished, and simultaneously, the originally delegated tasks have to be completed within the given time without requiring additional resources. Second, we also have disparity between tasks and execution framework. Colleagues meant to provide help are not available or occupied elsewhere. The promised resources and tools are not provided. The third disparity, we have disparity between tasks and learning framework or learning restrictions. The necessary knowledge or concrete experience cannot be acquired due to lack of sufficient freedom of action. For instance, solutions have to be developed without proper knowledge of customer requirements. The fourth disparity is the disparity between individual and professional goals and expectations. Due to unfulfilled technical and organizational prerequisites, knowledge workers are not able to fulfill the professional standards. They are obliged to work under conditions that they normally cannot support. And the last one, we have conflict between professional and personal life. There is a lot of stress caused by having to balance familial roles and responsibilities along with professional obligations, such as long working hours, working over the weekends, etc.